Hey guys, it's Jordan here.
And I'm Nico, and we're going to be going into a topic that just recently popped up in sports news. And for those of you who are brand new to the channel, I would like you guys to like the video, comment, give us your thoughts at the end of the video, subscribe to the page, and share this video and see what you can do to help the channel out.
Yeah. So we're CV Rants 101 for now. We don't know if our name's gonna change. We just rebranded from
Crazy Bus Rides 101, CBR 101.
You'll be able to
check out our old videos.
If you do that, you'll get to see the journey. It's been 4 years, so that's part of the reason we're doing this. But go watch the previous video that we will have uploaded before this, and you'll get to know all about that. But for now, we're talking about Dez Bryant. This guy, I feel like we cursed him. Like, if we're being honest,
you're the one that cursed him.
I definitely did. Like, this guy, stud for the Dallas Cowboys, hadn't played in a little while, gets signed by the Saints. Like, the rumors circulate last week, and we're thinking, like, we were actually having a discussion about it. We're like, how do you think this is going to go? And I
actually brought it up.
He asked me if I would sign Dez Bryant, and I said, honestly, like, no, I wouldn't. And this is where I feel like I might have cursed him. But like, because I just knew, and I think a lot of people knew, his injury history, as good as he is. Dez Bryant is really good. Fully conditioned, in his prime, he was amazing.
Now, not so much. And the one thing that I was just thinking of when this whole situation arose is just like, okay, I get the guy's thoughts, and I understand what he wants to do, and he put himself in the best position to win. He went with arguably the best team in football right now, and definitely a Super Bowl contender right now.
For sure.
He would have been paired up with Drew Brees, who, as Jordan had pointed out just before this video, is he's probably the best quarterback that's under 6 foot. And the guy is just, the guy's a stud. And then, Michael Thomas is playing like a beast. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. Alvin Kamara is just a stud.
Yeah.
For being a 3rd-round pick, he's
killing it.
Fantastic.
He's absolutely killing it. Mark Ingram, I
was disappointed that, I think that was our draft pick that we ended up giving the Saints. And I don't think we would have picked Alvin Kamara, but I think if we would have had him,
the Saints definitely wouldn't have. I feel like.
Who's to say if he would have done better for the 49ers? But anyways.
But yeah, so, he had Drew Brees has all the weapons. Then you add Dez Bryant, and Dez Bryant's a weapon in himself. He doesn't really have separation anymore, so that would have been interesting because Drew Brees is all about getting out quick.
He is a huge receiver. The guy's like what,
6'5"?
Yeah, like 6'5", 6'6", something like that. The guy is 6'5",
maybe not 6'6". He's probably 6'4", but 6'4".
Yeah.
But still, the guy's
6'4", 6'5".
Michael Thomas is a few inches shorter than that. Alvin Kamara, we know, is shorter than that.
But looking at guys like Calvin Johnson, we know that bigger wide receivers are targets, and they're going to draw the attention of corners and safeties, as a pair, and they're going to try to double up on those guys. And even if he takes away a linebacker in, the nickel or the dime packages, it's just insane, So he spreads the defense out more than the offense, can already do.
Yeah,
he would contribute a lot. And so to hear that this guy breaks himself off 3 days into practice, 3 days.
He signs with the Saints like 3 or 4 days ago, and then tears his Achilles this morning.
In practice.
I was so sad. I looked at Nico and I was like, did you hear about what happened to Dez Bryant?
Oh, no, I heard, and I was just like, the first thing I thought of is just like, man,
that's
the biggest. That is the unluckiest thing to happen to anybody. But the one thing I want to go into on this, coming from a Niner fan who we lost, we've been losing people left and right.
Jerick McKinnon.
But yeah, it's leading into this. Jerick McKinnon, this is a guy who we gave a 3-year contract, and he gets broken off in the preseason, mind you. In the preseason. So we understand this.
Wasn't it the first half of that game too?
Yeah, exactly. And you hear about our offense talking about the adjustment from going from Jerick McKinnon to Matt Breida versus Jimmy G, who also got injured midway through the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Or not even midway, like probably in the 4th quarter of the Chiefs game. He gets injured there, and then, we're switching over to C.J. Beathard, which was arguably probably the worst. I've been about, we'll bleep that out. I've been, saying like, hey, put Nick Mullins in since the first game of the preseason, make him the backup. But,
I've been saying ever since Beathard got drafted that it was a mistake. What's funny is this is probably a mistake too. I would have preferred Nick Hundley over CJ Beathard. Hundley hasn't really performed that well.
Nick Hundley?
Brett Hundley. I was thinking Nick Mullins at the same time.
You combine them too.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Brett Hundley, I had even said, but the reason I said him was because of the whole West Coast offense.
Yeah, and the dude is a pretty decent mobile quarterback, and we saw that Green Bay actually mildly exploited that when he was playing last year while Aaron Rodgers was out with his shoulder injury. So I think it's definitely plausible that if we had just done we would have just done better research on, those lower-ended picks. And don't get me wrong, I think that, this year is probably the only year that we could have improved better in the draft. Each year for the last 7 or 8 years, we've drafted first round, always drafted defensive guy. It was very rare. We never drafted an offensive player in the first round, and to hear that we're putting the 8th overall pick on Mike McGlinchey, it threw a shock to me. So, but anyways, we're getting a little bit off track here.
Yeah.
I understand, but my thoughts are.
So we're talking about injuries, and you get to Dez, and you're just like, man, you just need to be ready for anything, and really need to be conditioned. And whether or not Jerick McKinnon was conditioned, I'm sure he was. The fact that he got hurt, that just shows that even a conditioned body can get a season ending injury, let alone someone who hasn't played football in a while.
Yeah, so this leads me into just guys that Dez could have been looking into as he was going through the situation. You look at Le'Veon Bell, who's been holding out, and you also looked
Earl Thomas,
who didn't hold out, and then you look at OBJ, who was kind of tweaking the line between both, holding out but keeping himself in condition. All those guys, there's different sides of the coin, but Dez could have been looking at every single one of them. And Le'Veon, obviously, he's still not on the field, but we are pretty sure that he's not in the gym right now. And Earl Thomas, he was saying, I don't want to play without my contract. I don't want to play without, some backup.
And he put in the work.
He just,
didn't have security.
He wasn't ready, and then he broke his leg. So, that was the end of that. Dez could have looked at those situations and should have been like, all right, maybe this
something
yeah. I still like his approach. His approach was great business-wise, and it was definitely the best thing he could have done because, if he goes to the Saints, he puts in the work, he ends up, let's just say if they go to the Super Bowl, they end up beating the Rams out and the Chiefs out, surprising us all, then, boom, now he's a top 10 receiver that's out in the free agency market that everybody's going to be wanting to clamor for a long-term deal. But unfortunately, you got to stay ready for that. You got to just be ready for whatever comes your way. You got to be conditioned. And, even talking to the Saints training staff and looking at the video of the training and him running routes, he looked rusty. So I wouldn't say it's obvious that he was going to get an Achilles injury, but he looked like he was not conditioned and not ready for that interview. Because essentially that all of those, when they're bringing in a receiver to work out, when they're bringing any player to work out in football, it's equivalent to a job interview in the average world. So you got to just be ready for every single interview. I'm a business owner. I get that. I want my, prospects and my, guys who I know for a fact are going to be beneficial employees, I gauge that if they're ready. If they're not coming into the interview ready, then, if you can't cut it for me, chances are you're not going to cut it for the guys at McDonald's because, the standards are, not we're not Fortune 500 companies here. And Jordan Noll understands because he also works in my company. Granted, the way he kind of came in was a little bit informal, but
anyways,
the point of this video is stay ready. Just talking to the younger athletes, talking to just anybody who.
It doesn't even have to apply to just athletes.
Exactly.
Just anyone in life. If you're going with aspiration to do something, just be ready. Put yourself in a position to be able to say, if you get that call, if that opportunity comes, that you can say in that moment, yes, I can do it.
Yeah.
And not just be able to say that, but be able to back that up too. Because whether or not Dez was obviously the interview went great if he got signed, but And if this was a complete fluke that he tore his Achilles, because I haven't seen the video, but oftentimes like when you're not when you're not conditioned, you can tell. I play sports. I probably don't look. Oh, I definitely wouldn't look at it if I stood up. But I'm pretty athletic, but I know if I have I know if I don't have that time to be like, if I haven't done it in a while, I'm hurting bad. Like I'm hurting bad, and to do what all the stuff that Dez was doing, I know
this is something
I know I would have been jacked up.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
when you're in a profession like that and you're getting paid big money to put that kind of physical taxation on your body, you have to be ready. And this is just going to anybody who is not just an athlete, but is also just trying to do anything in life, job interview, just anything. You got to be ready. You got to be the most prepared because you don't know when your opportunity is going to come. You don't know when you're going to lose out on it. So that's just kind of the thoughts I want to leave with you guys. So
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Don't forget to like this video, comment your favorite teams for us, guys. We just like to see the audience that we have here. Let's get something going in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and we hope that you guys are having a great day. Can't wait to see you guys in the next video. So thanks, guys.